to Shelf Help, a channel dedicated to talking to the void about whatever book I happen to be reading. I'm your host, the reader. The following review will contain spoilers. First, the disclaimer from the author. This book contains scenes of violence, abuse, suicide ideation, discussion of sexual abuse, alcohol addiction, and torture. Also, this is not a historical fantasy or alternative history, but a futuristic story set in an entirely different world inspired by cultural elements from across Chinese history and featuring historical figures reimagined in a vastly different circumstances. Considerable creative liberties were taken. Now a disclaimer from me. I am very American. My knowledge and understanding of Chinese culture and history is at best broad strokes. I got the references to Journey to the West and the Terracotta Army. Anything subtler than that went right past me. I am not going to be able, nor should I attempt, to discuss deeper meanings behind characters and or contrasting them with their very real place in history. However, this also allows me to approach these characters as fictional characters and nothing more. If you would like to learn more about Chinese history and culture, please visit the author's YouTube channel, link below. This is very much a story of woman versus society. Xiran is a young woman. In her world, women are to be submissive and bear sons. That's it. If they can't do that, they should die. As a modern American woman living in a state that sees me as nothing more than an incubator, this book speaks to me. History may not repeat, but it does rhyme. Anyway, Xiran has already lost her older sister to the system. Her parents sold her to be a concubine pilot. She did not even die for the cause. The pilot just straight up murdered her without consequences. Thousands of years ago, Earth was invaded by the Hundan, space bugs. They wiped humanity off the map, leaving a 1,000-year history gap before they managed to gather civilization again. The final remains of human society now live behind the Great Wall and are protected by giant, transforming robots called chrysalises. Boys dream of being pilots, with the fame, glory, and money that goes with it. Girls' best hope is to the 1 in a million chance that their ki is high enough not to die. Even then, the best they can do is be a partner to the male pilot, never a pilot on their own right. Boys never have to worry about being sold by their families to die as a concubine. Xiran hates it all, and the terrible unfairness of her life, thanks to nothing more than the genetic lottery of birth. She does not start with any noble aspirations of changing society as a whole. She just wants to kill the pilot that murdered her sister. But doing so means her entire family will be executed. Then again, they're perfectly happy to sell her as a concubine to the same pilot that murdered her sister, so her brother can afford to buy a wife. Fuck 'em. Also, they bound her feet to increase her market value. This is one of those cultural things that I understood in a very general way. This book describes the process in vivid detail. It was horrifying. It was not done by her father or her grandfather or her brother, but by her mother and grandmother. This is a good microcosm for the whole society. Binding the feet is about submission, physically, emotionally, psychologically. Physically, it keeps women from running away. Literally. Xiran can barely walk without a cane, and every step is painful. The only time she can be pain-free is when she's piloting a chrysalis. It keeps her submissive and dependent, which is a plus for men in a highly patriarchal society. Emotionally, her mother and grandmother inflicted this on her with the full knowledge of the lifetime of pain they were inflicting. So she will sell for a better price, so her brother can afford a prettier wife. Psychologically, if you're already on average smaller and weaker, and you're made weaker still, you are less likely to fight back, more willing not to cause a fuss. Basically, enough constant pain to keep a woman submissive and remind her how much more pain will come if she steps out of line. This is a form of internalized oppression, when the oppressed group, in this case women, accept the methods of the oppressing group and begin acting against their own self-interest. As counterintuitive as it is, Zatian's mother and grandmother are breaking her feet and crippling her for life so she can have a better life, juxtaposed to the fact that they are okay with selling her to death. The cognitive dissonance is very real. Zatian is not into doing what society says. Pain be damned, if her family doesn't mind her dying, well, she will just die on her own terms and take them with her. This is what makes her such an inspiring character. Her goal is so small, and she's not out to change the world. At least not at first. But before she decided to kill the pilot who killed her sister, she just wanted to spend time with the boy she loved, and not be killed for it. Because even the hint of impropriety is enough to make her family drown her in a pig cage. Also, love be damned, he's the 5th son of the most powerful man in the country. She's a frontier girl. The best possible outcome would be her being his concubine and servant to whatever woman he is given as a wife. A distinction without a difference. So she reaches for a slightly larger goal. Murder the pilot who killed her sister and make her family pay the price alongside her. It goes differently than she planned. But her moment of victory is quickly squashed by the system. She is dubbed an Iron Widow, a pilot concubine who killed the pilot rather than be killed. It is noteworthy that she has never heard this term, or of this happening before, but the army has. Which brings up the question of how many Iron Widows has the army covered up? And the response is to partner her with the pilot with the highest key in history. Yes, this is in hopes of killing her. In fact, just about every move the army makes is to kill her, or her partner, or both. So let's talk about the romance. This is a poly-romance, in this case a triad of 2 men and 1 woman. And it's a fade-to-black sort of romance, so nothing graphic. Li Xian and Go Yize. Yize is the boy she is in love with from the start of the book. He's very rich and kind, the kind of boy who makes pastries for you while you're out crushing the patriarchy and making grown men cry. He travels to see her once a month for years, leaving behind his safe, comfortable home for a few hours of her time. He teaches her to read and shares his university notes and his tablet. As a woman, she should not know such things as reading and math, another way to keep women dependent. He gives up his dream of becoming a doctor to be at her side when she becomes a pilot. He also might be in the Chinese mob. It's not confirmed, but heavily implied. Ximin, on the other hand, is the scariest man Zatian has ever met. Huge, covered in muscles and scars, including a scar that says prisoner on his cheek. He murdered his family with a cleaver. The first time they meet, he is muzzled in chains and surrounded by soldiers with rifles. He's also an alcoholic. The army locks her in a cell with him, and he gives her the bed and sleeps on the cold concrete floor. He ignores personal insults from the other pilots, but will beat someone within an inch of their life for being rude to her. According to the army, they aren't just partners, but functionally married. Yet he accepts her relationship with Yize. He was a brilliant student and writes beautiful poetry, while spending his nights in a fight ring to pay for his schooling. They are both people of contradictions, and like Zatian, they don't fit neatly into the box society assigns them. So why should they conform now? A triangle is the strongest shape, after all. This is a wonderfully infuriating story. Zatian's every move, intentional, unintentional, or even simply for her own happiness, is always put down by the world around her. So often in stories like this, the glorious moment of triumph changes the tide, inspires people to rise up and break the chains that bind them, forcing the government to bend to the collective will for the better of all. That doesn't happen here. Some of her achievements slip out thanks to catching the sages on the back foot and Yisa's media skills, but most of it is shut down, covered up, and retooled to fit the desired narrative. Instead of standing as a pilot in her own right, showing all little girls they don't need men to be fully realized people, she is painted as another balanced pair, a partner, and nothing more. Basically the Disney princess treatment. She hates that her image is being used to inspire little girls to become concubine pilots on the minuscule chance they will find their balanced match and not be one more dead girl in a long line of dead girls. And as any modern person knows, how you are perceived online is much more important than who you really are. The only way to truly change the system and seize control of her own image would be to take control of the army. But that would take the most powerful pilot in history. The ending of this gives me pause. On one hand, I agree with her completely. She is 100% right at how fucked up this country is and how slow change ain't going to cut it. On the other hand, the author was not kidding when she said Zatian was a villain protagonist. She is definitely the bad guy in everyone's mind at this point. That said, nothing can quickly or easily change the course of generations of cultural and social conditioning on a population. This is a top shelf. So often in fantasy, the hero is single-handedly changing the world. In reality, simply taking out the evil overlord isn't enough. Oppression of any kind is systematic, and people who benefit are loath to relinquish that privilege. Given enough time, you can even get the oppressed group to further oppress themselves in the name of pleasing their oppressors. There is a satisfaction in crushing your enemies with overwhelming force, especially when they have actively targeted you personally, but it does not always solve the core problem. Thank you for your time. I know everyone's mileage will vary. Feel free to leave your thoughts.